I don't know that I expected them to stick the landing as hard as they did. So if you have not watched the show yet, please understand, we're going to be spoiling it. So do yourself a big favor, go watch the finale if you haven't watched it. Go watch the series if you haven't watched it yet. And understand that it is an amazing series that does some pretty amazing things. And we're going to talk all about how it sticks the landing. But first, down below, you're going to see the time codes. Feel free to go ahead and click through the playhead in case you want to jump around and see what we talked about the entire time. The table of contents are down there in the description as well. Can't wait to talk to you down in the comments. So let's get into it. What's up, my know-it-alls? Man, oh man. Let me tell you, this show's unbelievable. This show's everything you think it's going to be, and it ends everywhere you think it's going to end. And when you get to the ending, and we will get to the ending, they solidify Oz's place not only as the new ruling class of Kingpin of crime in Gotham. So he's kind of the head of organized crime at the moment, but also as a solid entry in what will become very soon Batman's Rogues Gallery. I feel like Colin Farrell deserves all the things. Not just him, but everybody in the show. Everybody who's doing wonderful things. The actress who plays Oz's mom, to Sophia, to just everybody. It's just, dude, everyone's doing such solid work. The episode starts literally where we left off, with a really long, the story so far, what you missed last time or whatever, or previously on. And it walks you through, and I watched it. This is one of those rare times where I decided I wanted to watch it, only because I really wanted to see how they were going to recap it. Because you got to remember, the purpose of a previously on is not just supposed to show you what happened the last episode. In fact, if you actually look at it, most previously ons are literally things from the previous episodes, meaning what's come before, and those are all the things it's going to hit. When he showed that moment where, when he showed Vic, and all the times that he and Vic were together and were close, I was immediately leery, because boyfriend know-it-all was right on top of it. He was here watching it, and it was so unbelievable. He kept calling things, and I was like, bro, yeah, it was like that. And I love the fact that when they start this, they blend and meld the ideas of the past and present in a very unique way. Oz's mom is being watched by Sophia's psychiatrist from Arkham, her Arkham doctor, if you will. And he's hypnotized her to try to find out more information. And we discover through this early flashback, Oz's mom is known the whole time.
Oswald has always been so needy. I had made peace with it. I did. That he was different. But now, what he's done, I can't.
And in fact, she was going to get that gangster friend of hers, the friend of their family, to end him, end Oz. She was like, how do I live with the devil under my roof and all this? And he goes, well, there's two ways to handle it.
Guys like him, they can serve a purpose. Go on to do big fucking things, especially in my line of work. But you gotta know how to control them.
And he goes, or?
Well, then maybe you let him go.
I let him go. You mean?
And you would do that? And he's like, So when Oz remembers his mom taking him to the dance or taking him to Monroe's where they end up dancing and stuff, that scene without this context feels wrong. You now add this context and you realize the reason that setup was designed for him, to get him there, to get him comfortable, and eventually the gangster guy was going to take him home. Well, apparently from the very beginning, Oz's instincts were dead on, no pun intended, because he talks his way out of it. Without even knowing he's facing the hangman, I don't want to get confused with Sophia's hangman, but without facing the chopping block, if you will, he manages to have this conversation with his mom where he promises her all these things that she's wanted to hear, and he tells her how much he sees her.
Balls have barely dropped, and you're gonna take care of me.
Of course I'm gonna take care of you. I'd do anything for you. I see you, Ma, in ways that other people don't.
And it manages to convince her, and I do believe this is what happened prior to their dance that we saw at the end of last episode. They wove such a dark relationship because not only did his mom know and feed into his narcissism and Oedipal desire for his mother's approval, but she accepted all the things he was going to do, all the greatness, if you will. And so now she's begins to see through the hallucination, begins to see through the hypnosis. And she sees Sophia and Sophia's Arkham doctor. He's using the red thing to hypnotize them. They're in the restaurant, which is giving her more place to ground her visions. Then they bring Oz in. There's this amazing confrontation. And what made it amazing was Sophia thinks she's in control. By the way, this entire time, Sophia thinks she's in control, which is not to be any kind of spoiler in terms of, well, Sophia wasn't in control, but it's just to say she was so lost. Like, she was so twisted up about everything and believed, not without understanding, she was nowhere near as prepared as Oz was. I don't think Oz was prepared for the explosion and the bomb and all that stuff, but he turns that nonsense around. So what happens is she begins to approach him about this whole thing and is telling him, she tells him a fake story about a boy who's blah, 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 and brother and kills his brother in the whole 9 yards, whatever. A little bird who killed the other little bird brother. It's a stupid story, and she even admits it's a stupid story. She's like, but your story is much more interesting. And she proceeds to try to push him, and she threatens to cut off his mother's finger. And he refuses to give, and he's like, Ma, you're confused, you this and that. He's selling it hard. So hard, in fact. For a brief moment, I asked Mrs. Know-It-All, could she have genuinely hallucinated that whole thing, and it's not actually? Could she be our unreliable narrator? And Mrs. Know-It-All was like, she just said she didn't think so, but it was very confusing. And not confusing in a bad way, but confusing in terms of like who's in whose head are we screwed up right now? That's the important question. In whose head are we screwed up? So what happens? Mom has a moment of lucidity.
Just say it, tell her. I already know.
And so Sophia stops and says, let her go. And he's like, you wouldn't let her cut my hand off, how dare you, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I have the devil in my roof. And she grabs a bottle, smashes it, and stabs him in the gut. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then as she begins to sort of like move around a little bit, and finally she has some sort of what looks like a seizure of some kind. Later on, you find out it was a stroke or severe stroke, and she falls down. This is all it takes for Oz to break free. He loses it. He manages to just break out of the arm and then collapse the chair down. He snatches up a gun, and that's on the floor. I think he knocked out one guy actually as he went down, and proceeds to just bam, 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 take out people left and right. He grabs his mom. He hefts her like a bag of potatoes, like papa, and limps out, but he's got her. And he's shooting at Sophia, and he makes it out. He makes it out because the emergency room, he meets up with Vic finally. Vic, who brought the gangs, and the gangs ended up deciding that the product was more important than him. And Vic he's just upset about it. And before he can get himself killed, Link punches him, and as he's going down, he says, bro, this is not the time. Watch your mouth. Watch who you talk to. You're going to get yourself shot. He's like, all right. So I immediately looked at Mrs. Know-It-All. I said, Link's protecting Vic. That was a good, it's not just him being a lieutenant and him trying to shut up somebody who's yelling at his boss. And he did that move to be like, bam, I'm responding to it. It's all good. He's on the ground. Let's get out of here. You know what I mean? He's trying to shuffle them off and give Vic an opportunity. That relationship, the minute I said that relationship, Mrs. Know-It-All, like a light bulb went off. I think she got it better than I did at the time. I just figured it was him being nice because he liked Vic. That's it. I didn't think it was going to roll the way it ended up rolling. Oz calls Vic. Vic meets him at the hospital. While they're at the hospital, he gets, Oz is like, it's over. She got my mother. This is never blah. Vic gives him the most incredible pep talk that a henchman or right-hand guy can give their boss.
All right? Nobody else did that. Nobody even tried. You gave people dignity. That's bigger than bliss. All right? So get the hell up. Let's go. Get your together and, be you.
You practice that, huh?
Shut up.
Right? It's just, I love it. It's just like, you practice that. That was great. It's like, oh, you got a little more, a little whatever. It was wonderful. It was a wonderful, very heartwarming scene. And you're like, okay, I love it. And again, they're cementing, they're making us love Vic so much before the end of the episode. Sophia has a meeting with all of the gang bosses. And she tells them all, this house, blah, 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 blah. Do you like it? Which one of you wants it? And Zhao's like, I don't think we understand. And she goes, I'm leaving because I can. And I don't like this. I hate this town. I'm leaving. And she goes, whoever brings me Oz can have not only the house, but everything. You can have everything, all of it. The territories, the operations, all of it. Oz takes, now that he's ready to go again, he takes Vic and goes to the courthouse. He meets with that councilman guy who he was helping to get, who he asked to turn the power back on. And he pitches him. He's like, I'm going to give you what you need. I'm going to give you I'm going to give you the monster who just blew up all, he weaves him a story. And the councilman's like, that could kind of work. He's like, but can I trust you? Like, is this true? Is any of that true? And he goes, yeah, of course it's true. And I'll give it to you tied up in whatever, the blah, 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 in the bow. I'll turn her over. This whole thing's gonna be great. Then dude says one of the most interesting things, because Oz wants legitimacy. That's the first time Oz talks to the guy and says, maybe we could do this thing, blah, blah, blah. And then eventually, maybe you can introduce me to some of your friends.
Might be good to feel welcome in a place like this for a change. Meet some of those friends you got. Hell, maybe one of these days we'll bump into Bella Real.
Oz has aspirations, and it shows. And you're like, because there's ambition, and then there's ambition. Okay, like seeing that difference in Oz was like, oh my, I get it. All right, right on. Let's yeah, and it was good. It was real good. While Vic is outside, Link calls him, and Link says, "You were right. So what are we gonna do about it?"
I know he's alive.
Sophia just put a bounty on his head.
Listen, you were right.
We got to do something.
And so I didn't know what to expect. Oz comes out of the courthouse. Vic's not in the car. Link and Zhao's men come out of a G-Wagon and are like, "Come on, you got to go with this and that." So Oz has been caught. Sophia gets a call from Zhao. Sophia goes to meet him at an airplane strip. And what happens? They're all there, and Oz can't help himself but smile as Link shoots Zhao in the face. Oh, yes. Everybody's taken down. Oz has Sophia go for a drive with him, and he drives her around. He then explains to her right now what's going down all across Gotham. And we see it. Every leader of the gang is being taken out by their number one person, by their right hand, all of them. It is both chilling and it is a lesson. Not just for us, it is a lesson Oz is learning at the same time. And it's the fact that they came up with this plan to put new gang leadership in was just chef's kiss brilliant. Blew my mind. Let's go. So what ends up happening is that there's only one way to end this and get what he wants. And the guy is operating on levels we as the audience couldn't even have thought of or conceived of. Blows my mind. Genuinely blows my mind. So what happens? They go to a place, junkyardy type place, over on the river. And he tells her to turn around. And she believes she's gonna get killed. All of a sudden, a light shines above her. She turns around. The police have descended. Oz is gone. His car is gone. The police show up. He gave them their villain. He won. He takes Gotham. Checkmate. Bro. Oh, it's unbelievable. He goes to celebrate with his mother, and he finds out from the doctors that she is in a catatonic state. She's in a vegetative state. She had a major stroke, which combined with her Lewy body diagnosis has made her perpetually in a vegetative state. She'll never be more than that. He doesn't care, of course, but he's upset. So him and they're enjoying a moment by the river. I don't know if they're at a park or where, but they're just sitting there. It's Vic and Oz. This is one of the darkest moments I think I've ever experienced in television. And I watched Breaking Bad, so I've seen some dark stuff. But the fact that they made us love Vic so much and showed us his whole story, and we care so much, that when Oz tells him,
I mean, you see me at my lowest, all the my mom. You've been there by my side every step. Listen, kid, I can't bring you with me this time.
What do you mean?
and then ends it. By the way, just a moment before, like a little bit before this, boyfriend know-it-all had actually said, he was like, "Oh, Vic's done. He's gonna end Vic." I sees Vic as a weakness. Now I can't tell if it's just because family is a weakness and Oz had his ma used against him, even though he tried forever to keep her safe and keep her out of it and distance. Or, and I think it's probably a combination, or the fact that they just took out all the other families using their right-hand men. Meaning Oz can't trust anybody. Even though all of this happened for him, he realizes it can just as easily happen to him. That, I believe, plus you combine the idea of his mom was used against him, I think you get into a place where, and so it ends with him being, and you hate him for it. He is despicable. He is disgusting. And he has a brand new penthouse set up in an old building that it's in the top floor, and his ma's there, and a tear runs down her face, meaning obviously she's somewhat cogent of what's going on in the world. And then you see he's got his girlfriend back, and she's cosplaying as his mother. The layers on this thing. And then we called it out on Nerd Fights, and I believe I've said it myself in previous episodes. What we get is an amazing moment where Penguin's looking out the window. By the way, looking amazing, because the councilman told him earlier, if you want me to introduce you to my friends, remember when he said he wanted to meet his friends like the mayor and stuff? Yeah, I saved this for this part because I wanted to bring it all together. He says to him,
"You want to be welcome? You got to look clean."
As a whistle, pal.
So Oz, at the very end, gets out of a car. He's carrying a top hat, and he's wearing full suit. He's a full tuxedo with tails. It's the Penguin outfit. And he walks upstairs, and he hangs the hat on a rack that has a couple of canes, but he hangs it next to an umbrella. And I was like, we get the umbrella, you get the hat, you get the look. Blew my mind. So that's when we get to the prediction part, which is where he's standing out overlooking the city. The camera pulls back. You see the bat signal. And I was like, okay, this is literally building up to, and according to Matt Reeves, this story is going to continue. The Gotham City, the Batman crime saga is going to continue in The Batman 2, which comes out in like 2 years. Oh, button. Did I forget to mention? Sophia gets a letter from her half-sister, Selena. Oh, yeah. I love it. Little notes they played of Selena Kyle's song. Yeah, all that's great. So there you go. Now you know. And if knowing's half the battle, you're halfway to make a know-it-all yourself. What is the know-it-all index for this episode? For this, I believe for the season as well. This is episode and season together in one number. Flat out. This thing stuck the landing so hard, it is a 10 out of 10. Comment below. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear your thoughts on the Penguin. Was it everything you wanted it to be? Was it everything you expected it to be? Because it certainly wasn't for me, that's for sure. The Matt Reeves has talked about doing series is moving forward. There's rumors I want to debunk right now. He has confirmed they are not. James Gunn has confirmed there's no plans or talks to do a Joker similar series. And I'm kind of glad for that because I think part of the enjoyment of this was watching a different character who we haven't put highlighted so often, even though you kind of had Gotham that sort of did a mediocre job doing it, but whatever. I do feel like this, I want to see more of this kind of story in this world. Give me a Harvey Dent story. Give me any of the other kind of crazy characters, because if you can end with this being the Penguin and the way we see him, that's brilliant. Chef's kiss. I'm down, man. I'm down. Do me a big favor. That right there is the playlist for the entire season. That's last week's episode if you missed it. And of course, you can always subscribe down there. All right, guys, I'll talk to you again very soon. Never forget, everyone loves a know-it-all. Bye.